Hello, everyone, and welcome for match 2 between Favio and SariasObject in the Triforce Blitz tournament. We are here today with SadieSweet, and it's my turn to try to pronounce this, Elagatua?
Hey, that's closer than most people have come so far. As always, you can pronounce my name pretty much however you want because it's funny when people bring their own takes to it. Yeah, I'm really excited for this matchup. Two really strong runners, especially on the execution side. When you're watching SariasObject, you always get a show. It's no secret that I'm kind of rooting for game threes because game threes are exciting. So crossing my fingers that we'll ultimately get to see it. But both of these players will be worthy additions to the main brackets, no matter how this ends up.
Yeah, and we've got an interesting start today. We do have a Storms start, which I find Storms like a very interesting song to start with on our seeds because it opens up bottom of the well so quickly.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot in the first 30 seconds of this seed, just seeing the path counts. One nice thing about bottom of the well Storms being the starting song, which puts bottom of the well very early into the seed, is that you kind of find out immediately whether bottom of the well is going to have any pieces or not. If you go outside the Temple of Time and you see like a 1 or a 2 or a 3, you can be pretty confident the bottom of the well is going to be involved somehow. But if not, then it's one of those songs where if it's not one of your early songs, it can be kind of a troll song on like a 3 dungeon medallion or a 3 dungeon song rather, that could add like a lot of steps to the count and end up being really deep. But yeah, it looks like we're on the way here.
All right, so let's see what those counts are. Path of Power is 18, Path of Wisdom is 0, and Path of Courage is 8. Was that 8?
That was 8. Well, I lost my bet.
Yeah, I lost my bet too. I was really hoping for a low path count today, but it looks like we're going to be in it for a bit, y'all.
Well, so speaking of the storm start, with those with those path counts, seems pretty unlikely that there's going to be any Triforce pieces in bottom of the well. 0 is too few. Any piece in bottom of the well is going to need at least 1 because you're always going to need that Song of Storms to get in. 8, probably too high unless there's some shenanigans with Zelda's Lullaby, which is possible. And 18, really unlikely unless there's a lot of shenanigans with Zelda's Lullaby.
Yeah, it's also really interesting that 0, because 0 means that there are a couple of dungeons that it just cannot be in whatsoever, including bottom of the well, and what are the others?
Well, Shadow for sure, and then Water as well. Water is always going to require your Iron Boots and your Hookshot. A lot of Fire Temple can be off limits depending on the key logic. Often Spirit Temple as well. Often GTG, but and it certainly can never be Ice Cavern or Jabu. Those two are hard-locked by Rudos. But generally, when you see a 0, you should probably assume Dodongo's Cavern or Ganon's Castle until you've cleared them and you find out otherwise, and then you can kind of reevaluate. So we'll see where the bomb bags show up.
Yeah, so that's some good starting information for our runners. In addition to that starting information, there was magic up in the cow house, so we've got some early magic, and we also learned that Minuet is on Ocarina of Time today, so there might be some... Oh, and Saria's in the windmill, so we don't need to worry about that Minuet for forest logic.
Yeah, an early bomb bag there as well, so this could be a race to the 8. I'm going to pause the logic talk for a little bit because I think we're not going to end up seeing a ton of crazy logic for at least the next 15 minutes or so, just based on the songs that we've seen. What we're going to see is a rush to Dodongo's and probably Ganon's. But with these path counts overall, you have an 18, a 0, and an 8. And the 0 is probably not going to be that hard to track down. Maybe I'll be wrong, but oftentimes that's the case. But really critical is going to be that 8 piece, because if you can get to that 8 piece first, you're going to set your tiebreaker, and basically it's going to force your opponent into a position where they have to get all 3 pieces in order to win the race. We have a lot of things that we don't know about that 18 piece, but one thing I do know about 18 pieces is that they can sometimes be impossible or extraordinarily difficult to track down, and time limit is probably going to be a major factor in this race, and both of our runners know that. So they can create some strategies and try to prioritize certain hints or certain dungeons to try and get those 2 pieces first, and maybe have the backup plan to win through the time limit if the seed turns out to be a mess.
Yeah, which, speaking of that 8 count, something that we didn't mention when we were back at the Temple of Time was that our path hint there was for that 8 count for that courage piece, and it's saying that there's something in Kokiri Forest, so we're also probably going to see that pretty quickly after the Dodongo's Cavern dip, which I'm suspecting is coming next.
Yeah, when you have a Temple of Time start, there's generally just one kind of opening meta, and that is just to go to CAC and do the checks that we've seen here. And then if you get a bomb bag, often people will go to Dodongos. The good news is that that kind of standard opener is done after 5 minutes or 10 minutes at most, and then you start to see a lot of divergence. But in this seed, because of that early bomb bag and because of the hints and the path counts, the runners are probably going to prioritize Dodongo's Cavern even more heavily than they would in a normal seed, because of that 0 potentially being there. But if it's not there, then Dodongo's Cavern is also going to potentially open up Ganon's Castle, which is the other place it could probably be.
Yeah, and Fabi is equipping those bombs, so yeah, I'm going to finish up this last check in Kakariko and then head on up to Dodongo's. They'll also get another hint whenever they get into Dodongos, which will give us a little bit more information. It's fascinating in these seeds how quickly the information comes and how quickly you have to process it to stay on top of, like you said, the meta and like where you're headed at any given time.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of, and if you're trying to learn Triforce Blitz, it's definitely worth taking just a little bit of time to figure out your kind of tracking solution, just so that you can have all the information available to look at in one place and be able to add things, add items and add songs and whatever to it as you get it, because you never know in an hour whether you'll need to figure out what that song was in Kakariko Village that you got at 5 minutes into the seed, or whatever that item was in Mido's house, that ends up being path. So it looks like that's a heart container on top of DC. And
the Gerudo Training Ground is path to power, so that 18 Ps we're going to have to cross the bridge somehow. I'm wondering if that's implying that maybe we need a long shot to cross, because that would give us 2 of our items already for that 18 count.
Yeah, I think if I were in this race, I'd probably not worry too much about trying to figure out kind of the song layout until I've seen the child songs, because so much depends on whether ZL shows up. We already have forest access, so that's good. We're not going to have like any crazy deep forest temples in Logic, which is a relief probably for our runners. And it kind of depends on what our 3 dungeon songs end up being, whether it ends up being like Epona's. We saw Minuet already, so that's probably not going to be a factor, other than routing if they even bother to pick it up should the opportunity arise.
Would be interesting if like Requiem is early on.
Yeah, or Nocturne especially could be another one, or just ZL. I guess it was OoT was Minuet. Is that what it was?
Yes, OoT was Minuet.
So something else to keep in mind is just to look at the medallion layout. You can sometimes anticipate where things might be just based on which dungeons or which medallions. For example, like Shadow Temple always requires ZL, so you know that Shadow Temple can never lock ZL, for example. And looking here, so we don't know what the Nocturne song is yet, but we haven't found a hint for that. And that's going to be behind Spirit Temple, Dodongo's Cavern, and Forest Temple. Other than Spirit, that doesn't really require a whole lot of items. I think we're pretty much a hookshot away from being able to have 2 of those medallions already. But Spirit requires a lot, and Spirit could potentially require ZL for keys or Requiem for keys.
And it's locking 2 songs.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's going to maybe be something to keep our eyes on over the next maybe 15 minutes, because we're going to get some more information. But will logic shenanigans for Spirit Temple become a thing where logically the seed requires something to beat Spirit Temple, but actually the key layout is friendly enough to let us get around it?
So far we found nothing in Dodongo's Cavern. There are 2 more checks. We've got this chest back here, and then we've got the one on Dodongo. So yeah, this is starting to look like maybe Ganon's castle is going to be having something for us.
Yeah, it's a little scary. You never like to see early forest access with a 0. It can make you very nervous.
Yeah, especially because of the weirdness with the steps and with like what's accessible or what's locking what. Like Forest could very easily be a 0-step temple.
Yeah, and in this seed, it's there's potential for additional complications because Minuet is like locked behind 3 dungeons, but you have to keep in mind, will anything in Forest Temple lock those other 3 dungeons so that like Sarias would lock Minuet or not? We'll see. We don't know enough yet. Obviously, we're going to need to see what's in like Kokiri Forest and see like where the hook shots show up, but yeah, there's kind of like a sequence of most likely to least likely zeros as we go down the list. And Forest is probably next should Dodongo's Cavern and Ganon's Castle turn up empty.
Alright, we're about to find out what's on King Dodongo, if it's going to be like Triforce keys or an item or like anything helpful at this point. Because we're not working with much, as we've mentioned. So let's see. Gotta go through the whole cutscene.
Kind of interested to see if any other magics or any other bomb bags turn up. When you have an 18, 18's a lot of items, actually. It's quite a lot. You generally need a decent amount of trolling in order to get up to 18 with, like, path wallets or path scales or path claim checks or a bazillion path songs. And a lot of times you're going to end up with like path bomb bags or path magics too. But we have a bomb bag and magic in logic already. So if those end up not being path, then where are all the other path items going to come from? We kind of sit apprehensively waiting for the seed to display what's the catch.
Yeah. We are definitely going to see some trolling today. And Team Buy Shield is winning today with all of the tricks that like having a shield like lets you do. You might as well just buy it at this point if you have the money.
So Favio, what's next? Looks like this is probably Goron City into Minuet and Kokiri Forest, that general area. It's actually a really good play because that's a very hint-dense area. It also is going to get a song, and we know that Kokiri Forest is path, so we'd like to know what that item is. But SariasObject may potentially choose to go child as well. I think both of those options are viable at this time.
Like
this might be river, actually.
Yeah, Sarias, if you're backwalking out of CAC, that usually means that you're going river because you can just save quit and wind up back at the temple, right?
Yes, yeah. So if Sarias was going child, then he would be save quitting now. So this definitely is a river play. Also,
Which is
a very good
also a
location.
pretty hint-dense area, right?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the nice things about going there as adult is there's 2 checks that you can actually get out of logic if you didn't have a bomb bag. I'm going to pause there because there's a big chest on Favio's screen.
It's a bottle! And an empty one at that. Rush ice, anyone?
Well, we need a way to get in there, but that's certainly nice to see. I think in the first game between these two, SariasObject got rewarded big time by finding a bottle out of logic in what was logically dead Forest Temple. So kind of nice to see that maybe that won't play as big of a factor this time. But yeah, River being really good. You can get 2 checks out of logic as adult if you just jump to the heart pieces. So if there's something good there, then that'll be helpful. But we're getting a lot of hints really fast here.
Yeah,
so let's try and keep up.
Kokiri Forest is Path to Power, Deku is Foolish, and also we saw earlier that Lost Woods is Way of the Wanderer. We also just got a hookshot from the Goron Maze, so that's a lot of really good information.
Yeah, what the heck's going to be in Kokiri Forest? Is that Kokiri double?
Yes, so Kokiri Forest is both for courage and also for power.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, strap in, because with storms, we can actually clear all of our Kokiri Forest checks.
Yeah, and I was going to say something, and then I forgot. I hate it when that happens. Well, so Favio's going to be able to kind of clear out a lot of the checks in Lost Woods with that bomb bag. Ooh, storms. Or sorry, a strength upgrade. It's all falling apart. 10 o'clock. Yikes. Where is Sarias going now, though?
Maybe... This would be an interesting choice to go straight down to Kokiri, because they won't be able to get the sword chest while they're down there.
Well, yeah, the routing is a little bit awkward, I think. If you're going to go to River, I think generally the more traditional play is just to go all the way up, get that hint, and then save quit and go Child. I mean, it's not a huge difference, honestly, because Favio is going to have the same problem, ending up in Kokiri Forest without being able to get the Kokiri sword chest. And keep in mind, SariasObject doesn't have the same hints that Favio has. So we're going to have an advantage. And yeah, big chest, here we go.
Okay, Rudo's letter. Okay, that's nice to have early. We also saw earlier that there is a path to power in fire, in stone fire, by the way. And also Lens of Truth in Mido. So, wow, we've got a lot to work with. And Graveyard is Path to Courage. Woo, boy.
Yeah, so try and keep up, chat, because we're going to get dumped with information here, and it'll eventually slow down. But already, we have some headaches trying to figure out what is Path in Kokiri.
Yeah, oh, and there's our long shot just sitting there. So... Oh boy. Okay, so in the graveyard was where we found our bomb bag. So I'm wondering if that really points us to the other bomb bags being bomb locked.
Yeah, I would assume that by default, just because it's an 18 seed. It tends to be that way, but I mean, we don't know. But yeah, this Kokiri Forest has clarified that we have no idea what's going on, so I guess that is helpful to know.
Yeah, I'm also kind of interested. So whenever you have a 0 count, does that mean that you will never see any path hint for it?
Yes, there's nothing to hint.
Yeah, so that means hopefully that our runners, like, with us already having 3 paths for power, that our runners will get some, like, really good information that will help guide them for that. And they also already have 2 courage hints to chase down that 8 count.
So going back to the 0 path, we have both hook shots available, and we know they don't lock each other, because one was in the maze and one was just in Inkokiri Forest. So, unfortunately, that means that that Forest Temple is not going to be like locked by a hook shot. So, even
it's
more
still a
likely.
zero count as far as we know.
Yeah, exactly. We can't rule it out. And now with the long shot available, if Epona shows up somewhere, GTG could even be a 0. So the more this goes on, the less information we have. It's going to be very interesting to see whether the runners decide to try and commit to Forest at all here. Favio has a better chance of it, just because that strength upgrade could allow him to get into the courtyard. But it kind of depends on what song shows up here.
Yeah, we're also about to get these hint stones, which Saria's almost ran past one of them. Gruda's Fortress is foolish, so there's 2 checks we don't have to worry about. Don't need to do horseback archery. And Zora's River is also foolish, which is great for Saria's to find out after going up Zora's River.
Yeah, that's some good luck for Favio, because Favio is going to get that hint without having to go to River. And I don't know if there was any like important hints in River. Sometimes if you go to Ice, you still sometimes can get the hints in River without doing the checks, even if it's foolish, because the hints are just so helpful.
So Horse is sitting here on Minuet, so that's not super deep into the seed, and that's not locked by the long shot, so still a 0 count to get over to GTG.
Yeah, so basically, Wisdom's in the seed.
Wisdom is somewhere. And that makes that 18 count even more like confusing and distressing, because that's already nixed like a ton of stuff.
I mean, it's even worse than that too, because we had Prelude hinted on the Nocturne check as well. So both of our 3 dungeon songs are basically logically dead. So we have to get up to 18 somehow without either of them. So again, I ask, what's the catch?
Yeah, and a quick clarification for chat, because I see some discussion about this. The important thing to remember about steps is that it's referring to like items that you need to get to somewhere. So for Bottom of the Well, the reason that it can never be a 0 count is because if you removed the Song of Storms from the game, you physically could not get into Bottom of the Well. So you need that song in order to get there. That's why Well will always be at least a 1 count.
Yeah, that's a great explanation.
I have worked really hard to understand the logic so that I could commentate these matches with some degree of, professionalism.
It's actually interesting. There's a lot of players that have been playing for a long time that don't have a super clear understanding of some of the hints, and I think this mode has been pretty challenging for them, but it's also helpful to learn it, because you really need to have a good grasp of the seed layout and how the hints are generated and all that information in order to succeed in this mode. So it's the perfect time to sharpen your skills.
Yeah, and also just a really good understanding of the game and what's required to get into certain places in the game. Like, I feel like watching this, like, as a very amateur player, this has really helped me with my understanding of just Zooter in general.
So I want to call attention to something that I mentioned earlier briefly. We're seeing some divergence in the routing, and that is because Favio has the strength upgrade from Goron City, and SariasObject does not. And Sarias actually has no way to get further into Forest Temple other than the checks that he's done. No Song of Time and no bow means there's no way to get into the courtyard. But Favio has the option of doing this recoil strat through the Floormaster room, and Favio is going to end up seeing 4 additional checks. We'll see if that helps him or not.
Yeah, and we'll also see if something's just here on Phantom Ganon, because this would be a Sphere 0 check, so... Or not Sphere 0, but a 0-step check. I need to make sure to have those terms differently, because Sphere 0 and Step 0 is, like, 2 different things.
Yeah, we still don't know... Well, I guess we don't know for sure, because technically, if somehow some item in Forest Temple locked an item needed to get Minuet, then this would be a 1. But there's a decent chance that this could still be a 0. We're probably not going to know for a long time.
And that's a key on Phantom Ganon, which can happen in these settings.
Yep, there's only 2 things that are different in these settings than with kind of the standard settings, the Season 5 settings, and even before that, as far as logic goes. We have the shortcuts on in Forest Temple and Jabu. Jabu doesn't actually change the logic at all, but in Forest Temple, Phantom Ganon and that basement chest are in logic with just a hookshot, instead of requiring the hookshot, bow, and strength 1. The good news is that that's the only difference you need to keep track of. Literally every other logical requirement is exactly the same as in Season 5 and in the weekly settings.
Yep, so we see SariasObject leaving, heading out of Kokiri Forest. I'm kind of curious where he's going at this point because he's still not save quitting, which indicates that we're still doing some of these adult checks. Favio's still searching through Forest Temple, not really finding anything so far. No items, no Triforce pieces, nada.
Yeah, I mean, this has got to be GTG for SariasObject. GTG is always scary to try and route in because it's very easy to go GTG too early. But what I think is happening here is Sarias has found Lens in double path Kokiri Forest and is thinking, well, probably the Lens is one of them, and there's a good chance that I'm going to need to cross to Requiem to get the song. So might as well cross and also clean up field, which is another reasonably hint-dense location. So the danger here is going to GTG too early and not having like a bow or strength 2 or something like that, and then leaving behind a check with a Triforce piece and having it be really inconvenient to come back there later.
Yeah, that would be pretty nasty. It's also kind of nice, though, that SariasObject is getting these field checks, because it seems like, at least in the races I've watched, that, like, these field checks can be kind of left alone for a while.
Yeah, when you have an 18, it can sometimes be very wise to be very thorough when it comes to your overworld checks. In Triforce Blitz, the hints are distributed with a priority, and basically any item in a dungeon has priority to be hinted over any item on the overworld. And so what that means in practice is that any items that don't get hints will end up being in the overworld because all the dungeon items get hinted first. So if you're not sure where to go, the odds are good that you need to look in the overworld and not in a dungeon.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point to make, especially with so far 5 of our 6 paths that we found are for overworld locations. Wait, no, we have GTG, so 4 of our 6 are overworld locations.
Yeah, and so what that means is that as soon as the first overworld location gets hinted, it guarantees that any item that we need that's in a dungeon is going to show up in a hint somewhere in the seed. And so what that means is that rushing dungeons blindly can potentially be risky because if you're looking for progression, it's good to look in the overworld or to chase your hints. And if you're looking for Triforce pieces, you want to go to the right dungeon. But the real way to lose a ton of time in Triforce Blitz is to clear dungeons and have it be the wrong dungeons, because you're not likely to get progression that you need in those places.
So we're getting a couple of hints from Favio here at the Deku Tree. So Deathbound Crater is foolish today, so we don't need to worry about there. That does have some interesting implications depending on what song is out there. So we'll have to see with that. And what's this other hint going to be? Shadow Temple is Path to Power. Honestly, water is kind of wet with that one with this step count.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to make another hot take, I'd probably say that we're going to see Light Trial at some point too on Path of Power, just because, like, how do you get to 18? Well, you got to use almost all the items, so...
So require all 3 strengths.
Yeah, it's a good guess if you had to assume.
And Ice Cavern is also Path to Power, which with an early Rudo's letter, again, water is wet.
Yeah, so I think from what we know, we can think about where is ZL? That's really the question. We have Rudos, so it's not like Rudos is hiding somewhere in Shadow Temple, leading to a Triforce piece in Ice. At least not the power one. So ZL could be reasonably deep, leading to like maybe Courage and Ice, but the opportunities for like major logic skips are low unless it's only for ZL. I think ZL is like the only thing that could potentially be skipped, and F.
And Serenade is here on Crater, which honestly makes sense with Crater being foolish. And F for SariasObject.
Yeah, that was obviously an intentional death just to get back up to the tent. But we're going to see Favio do Fire Temple dip. And this is a nice idea because whatever's path in Fire Temple doesn't have to be hammer locked, and it's kind of good to know.
Yeah, I really like this fire dip and getting this information kind of early on.
Saria is going to be heading into GTG most likely, which is also path. So we're going to, again, this has been a really fast-moving seed with a lot of divergence, but all of it along, I guess, high-value areas. And we've got a big chest, popcorn.
Ooh. So let's see what we've got, and it is the wallet. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's real interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because if that wallet is our path item, that only indicates, like, two things, which is, like, needing a fire tunic for deep fire or needing a water tunic for central pillar, right?
Yeah, in these settings, it's almost impossible to have a Zor tunic be path. It is a consequence of there not being boss keys. So we should probably just eliminate the possibility of it being for Zora Tunic unless we get really conclusive evidence. The thing is, though, it's probably not the wallet either. And this is one of those things that's maybe a little bit hard to grasp if you're not extremely familiar with logic. But let's say that wallet was path. So if that wallet is path, then it's probably pointing to something important deeper in fire. But if there's something deeper in fire, then that's probably also a path item. So if it were wallet and then something else deeper in fire, then fire would have to be path twice. But fire isn't path twice, or at least we don't know that it would be yet. So until we see fire path twice, we should probably just assume it's not the wallet and we need the hammer. Anyway, rant over.
So while that lovely explanation was going on, we did get two more path hints. Lawnmower Ranch is path to courage, which really indicates, like, go back, child. No one's gone child yet. So we want to find out what's out there at Lawn. Additionally, Goron City is path to power, and we found both the hook and the strength there. Especially with us knowing where the other hook is, like, unless it's needing long shot for, like, Morpha, it's probably not that hook shot, which means, Strength 3, Light Trial, Yeet Rock is intensifying. And so far, SariasObject has not found anything in GTG, right?
Yeah, not yet. Not a whole ton of checks that can be done. Gonna orphan probably all the bow checks. And then, I guess no Song of Time either. Lon path is actually a little suspicious because Lon can't be hinted path for Zelda's Lullaby, for example. So, Lon's probably path for a song. Not guaranteed, but we should probably assume. So
if it is Nocturne again, I am going to lose my mind, but also we already know we have to go to Shadow.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine it being Nocturne because you always assumed that maybe like Nocturne would be in an ice cavern. If you look at like songs that could be path, we're kind of down to like Song of Time, Nocturne, and Requiem, and there's our there's a Triforce piece.
Triforce piece. Is that our 0?
Yes, that is hard confirmed as our 0.
All right, so someone light up wisdom and give Sarias their clock.
So that's not the worst thing for Favio. He's going to end up in GTG before too long, I imagine. And really, I think this race comes down to who ends up finding courage first, not wisdom. But that's really good for SariasObject. And if SariasObject really just tries to track down where that courage piece is now, at the expense of everything else, it could provide him a really big advantage heading into the second hour of the season.
Yeah, we are only 34 minutes in, so we've still got another hour 26. So there is our second Fire Temple Path to Power. So if we see one more of those hints, then Fire is double hinted.
Yeah, we're starting to run out of hint slots, though. Like, I'm looking at our sheet here, and I see what I think is... Well, counting is hard. I see 10, but 1 is a Wanderer, so at most there's one more path hint out there that we have yet to see.
And it looks like Favio is going to go ahead and head on into Ganon's castle, which we mentioned earlier that this was a pretty good location to come check with the 0 count. Unfortunately, we know that the Triforce piece isn't there, but maybe Favio will find something else to kind of help him out.
Yeah, there's always a chance of like a bow showing up here or something like that. But for what it's worth, Ganon's is a very fast dungeon. And he should be in and out pretty quick, and we'll see where he chooses to go next. The world is their oyster, a lot of places to go, and looks like Sarias might be crossing now, so I'm very interested to see what this song ends up being.
Yeah, I'm also really interested to see what the song is, especially with, like, this, again, like... This is a very, like, low count song given the hook shots being just, like, right there. So it's going to be really telling what's out here.
I really think it's ZL because this location hasn't been hinted yet. And so if it was one of the other songs, it'd probably be hinted. But it's very low in the total count. I think it's technically only locked... Well, right now we don't have hover, so it'd be locked by both hookshots, lens, and magic. So that's only 4 items. But I have this suspicion that Requiem's going to be out there too.
Ooh, and got eaten by the sand.
Yeah, I really think that Requiem might be in Lon Lon. We'll see.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see Requiem either very early or very late.
Yeah, I mean, it's just which one's in ice and which one's in Lon Lon. Like, it could also be Nocturne very easily, but you gotta imagine that it's probably, you know, Nocturne in Lon Lon and Requiem in ice, or vice versa. There's a big chest there.
Ooh. Yeah, let's see what this is. So, Favio, show us the money. And it's more choose. Oh, great. With the bomb bag already, it's like, choose.
Yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate for Favio. I don't know which hints he's gotten and which ones Sarias has gotten, because there's some divergence in their route, so they don't have all the same information. But because Favio doesn't know that Wisdom is in GTG, Favio is going to end up doing these kind of low item dungeons, looking for that piece. When Sarias, assuming that Sarias is able to read the logic correctly, knows that actually, I can just follow the hints blindly and kind of skip everything else, and now skip all these low count dungeons as well, because they just can't have anything.
Yeah, yeah. And there's another big chest here in the southwest room, so let's see if this is anything. It would be really great to find a bow, especially with Fabio very likely like going GTG here soonish. Nope, it's a wallet. That's another wallet.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I was suspicious of the wallet and fire probably not being path, and
that basically confirms it.
Score 1 for Elagatua.
And 20 skulls is a scale, which is a little nerve-wracking. Especially because, like, if you need both scales, that could indicate lab dive. That could also be your only scale way of getting into water temple if you need to do water temple for some reason.
So in these settings, the logic was made to be the same as in the weekly settings or in standard, even at the expense of like letting people do logical morpha with gold scale and long shot. So there's like a trick on that basically forces you to logically have iron boots in order to do any check in water temple, even though technically you could do gold scale and long shot morpha.
It's just not logical
by itself. It's just for simplicity. Anyway, we're going to see Lon Lon pretty soon. Yeah, I'm very interested to see if this ends up being Requiem or not. Because we have ZL in, I guess, across the crossing. And I'm trying to look at my my paths here. I'm trying to think about what could be locking Courage. It does seem likely that it's going to be ZL locked somehow, because Lens and Hookshot being path, those kind of both point to ZL. Anyway, get your guesses in chat if you're too late, which you are.
It's okay. We'll likely see Treasure Chest main game a second time, maybe. Unless that Lens is just for logical crossing.
Definitely could be. I mean, ZL's there, so Sarias should be pretty suspicious. Yeah, I mean, it definitely would make sense if it were like Requiem in ice. That would kind of make everything check out. But then, where is Courage?
And it's just a small chest, so nothing on Treasure Chest minigame. And Saria is going to go back upriver.
Yeah, this is ice for sure. With ZL, Sarias can get in, so why not just rush the dungeons?
Yeah, Sarias is doing a really good job just like hard following these hints that we have so far. It does kind of suck that they've had to like abandon some stuff like added GTG, and I'm sure that that's going to be on their mind as they're going through these places. But especially with, I think, like 2 models available, Sarias should be able to get through Ice Cavern pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if there ends up being a Triforce piece there. It's definitely possible because we have Rudo's letter in Kokiri Forest, and that was on Courage. So, and we know that ZL is likely. Well, I guess we'll find out really soon whether crossing is the only way to ZL, but I'd suspect so.
Well, we got Epona's earlier on the minuet check.
Right, but if Requiem is available, it's going to be in Lon Lon, and if it's not available, then it's probably going to be in Ice Cavern.
True.
And if it's in Ice Cavern, then it's harder. It's hard required. Let me say that again. Not hard required. It's logically required to cross.
We're about to get at least one more hint and hopefully 2 more hints from Fabio. So, Kokiri Forest still the Wait, is that our third Kokiri Forest Path to Courage?
Yeah,
That's
it
our...
is.
Ooh.
Saria's just got another one as well. So that's 3. So Kokiri Force is double courage, and that basically simplifies everything. And we knew that Rudo's had to be path because ice is path, and so Rudo's is always going to be path. But now that confirms the lens and the hookshot. So now I'm pretty sure that Ice Cavern has to be Requiem. There's basically no way for this to make sense in any other scenario. Or I guess Requiem could theoretically be on Prelude as well, with like Song of Time in Ice, but that would be surprising for other reasons.
Yeah, and Fabio not finding anything on the sword chest, so Fabio's gonna get all of these Kokiri Forest checks that SariasObject got earlier. SariasObject finding a slingshot, which I think that's our second slingshot we've just found, because one was on Bomb 2 Bowling.
Yeah, we have a Lost Woods Wanderer, I believe. What was
We do.
It's been knocked off the list. That's why I can't find it.
It's further down below the Foolish Hints, been relegated to the bottom of the list. And we also haven't seen anything in Lost Woods yet, except for that bow. That bow is probably our Wanderer.
Yeah, I was actually about to call out the possibility of a bow being there, and I wish I had done it beforehand because I would have looked a lot smarter. But there's just not a whole lot of things left that could be Wanderer other than the bow at this point, and that could potentially be a big item. Speaking of big items...
Dins, well, that's certainly a location to put it.
Yeah, that's hard confirmed path because we have shadow path, so we know that's definitely on the way to power. Likely gonna be useful. Starting to get a pretty decent complement of items here, and maybe not missing a whole lot of stuff, but the bow is very interesting because you know that GTG is going to be like next, or not for Favio at least. GTG is high on the list, and with that bow, there's going to be additional checks that we see there that SariasObject couldn't get. Another thing we want to keep in mind is we're strength 2. If Favio is able to get strength 2 for the first cross, that's going to allow some more checks in GTG. And also potentially allow for a spirit dip. I don't think we found any items in GTG as well, so there's still a path item in GTG chilling there along with that Triforce piece.
Yeah, and that path item could really sort of shift the scales in terms of like who's ahead, especially if that path item like is hovers, and we find Nocturne pretty quick. That could give Favio like just a very obvious place to head after GTG.
Yeah, I'm very interested to kind of see how this all shakes out because we have a few places that are unresolved. We have Lon Lon Ranch at this point. I imagine it's Nocturne, surely, at this point. Ice Cavern, probably Requiem, ? Shadow, but like Shadow and Fire are, at this point, unaccounted for, and those are definitely going to be items. We know that Deku Tree's foolish, so not going to be any Triforce pieces there, so Kokiri Sword probably not going to show up and be relevant. But what are the items that could potentially show up in Fire and Shadow that would lead us to this power piece? And once they do show up, are we going to have enough time?
So there's Bolero sitting out here at Saria's, not useful for anything. We found our hook earlier. We had our logical Bolero access, and Bolero was nothing. And our logical Fire Temple access. So Fabio's now going to head down to Lake Hylia and get some of these Lake Hylia checks, or just going to take the owl back to Hyrule Castle.
I think this is actually going to be a Lon play, but the time of day is kind of trolling him, and so he might end up doing some field checks just to pass time of day on the what. Yep.
Yep, just double checking. It's like, oh yeah, this is a pretty awful time of day. He might go do the Dampe digging check while it's still dark.
You need a very specific time of day at night to get to Dampe digging, and it's that time has passed. To be honest, I don't love this idea of going night cac. There's a lot of time that can be spent here, and not a lot of value that can be accomplished. And I think Favio needs to be maybe a little bit more aggressive here if he's expecting to get all 3 pieces. Unfortunately, in order to get an 18 count piece, you have to cut some corners, and if nothing shows up on 10 skulls here, it's going to be a lot of time dedicated to this one check.
Yeah, definitely a little concerning that Fabio's not chasing these paths a little bit harder, especially with Saria's basically done with Ice Cavern as soon as we destroy the saddest of the mini-bosses in the whole game.
I totally understand where Favio is coming from, though, because you just hate sitting around waiting for time of day so that you can get into Lon. He wants to try and use that time of day efficiently somehow, but sometimes you can try to be efficient and end up wasting more time. And as expected, Requiem showing up in ice. What does that mean?
Is this a Bottom of the Well play from Favio?
Yes, I think that's exactly what this is.
Sure. I'm really concerned with how Fabio's not heading after those paths that we've already got. Like, maybe the logic is that with that 18 count, you want to sort of clear all your bases and check this, like, super check-dense area that Favio can not full clear because Favio doesn't have Lullaby. So this feels a little bad.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that it's fast, and we know, because we've seen all 10 paths, that there's no way that there can be any path item in Bottom of the Well. It's actually impossible. Even without seeing those checks, we know that there can't be anything there, because if there was something there, it would have been one of the paths that we've seen. So, I think from Fabio's perspective, he's hoping that maybe ZL is, like 7 deep, and he's going to be able to get a Triforce piece of courage out of logic behind ZL somehow.
Yeah, so we're unfreezing King Zora on Saria's side, and then save quitting. So let's see where Saria's goes now, because Saria's is at a little bit of an item deficit. Like, this is the bright side of Fabio's pathing, is that Favio has a lot more to work with. It does look like Saria's is finally going child, so we're hopefully going to see what that Lon Ranch item is soon. Also, there's a big chest.
Yeah, you hate to see it if you're Favio, because it's one of those things that can kind of bait you back there later and allow you to waste even more time. And from our perspective, we know that the only way that Triforce or that chest is useful is if there's actually a Triforce piece in there. Any other situation, and it's just more bait. Looks like this is going to be Child Spirit for SariasObject. I think this is a great play. Definitely a potential for a Triforce piece here. And if he gets Courage, he's going to have a huge advantage for this seed.
Yeah, especially with the only thing we found in Ice Cavern was Requiem, which hard indicates gotta go Child Spirit. So let's see. And that means that there has to be something here in Child Spirit that is going to steer us towards that power piece.
Yeah, could always be a key, but keep in mind there can't.
No.
So I think there actually has to be a Triforce piece in Spirit, because, or I guess it could be the song though. That is another thing that could be there. We'll hold that thought, but again, we know that there's no path item in Spirit Temple.
And we have Deku seed % for our slingshot.
Yeah, so we know Requiem is path, but we know that there's no path item in Spirit Temple. So the only reason it could be path is if it were for a Triforce piece or if it were for the dungeon reward. So we don't know what's on Prelude, what song is there. And we still don't know what song is in Lon Lon, but it does seem awfully suspicious that maybe Courage could show up there. Although Requiem is on the path of Power, and Power is 18 deep, so yeah, I still have a lot of questions, but unless something shows up here in the climb, Sarias is going to be fishing for a strength.
Yeah, and the only strength we've seen so far is that one in Goron City, which luckily, actually, has Sarias headed down to Lake Hylia yet? He hasn't, right?
I don't think Sarias has done anything. This is Sarias' first trip to Child, so...
So that means that Sarias doesn't know that Goron City is Path to Power. And that's where that other hookshot is and where that strength is for Sarias. So we'll see whenever Sarias routes back there.
I'm starting to wonder if Lon Lon isn't path for an item in the back of the ranch. Well, we'll find out in approximately 20 seconds. But I'm just wondering, like, this Requiem hint is throwing me for a little bit of a loop.
All right, Malin, what you got for us today? And it is Song of Time. Because the only thing that Song of Time could be for is Toilet in GTG, correct?
I'm pretty sure that Sarias peaked all of the other ones. And I think he peaked the maze as well, so... I mean, if we were going to get up to 18, Toilet would be a great place to include. It could also potentially be River, Chest, and Water, but at the same time, we don't have Water Path. And if there was a path item in Water, it would be hinted. So.
Oh, it is Song of Time, so Toilet is kind of our bet.
Yeah, not helpful, because there's no Iron Boots around, but, yuck.
Well, how many deep would it be if it was in Toilet? Because we would need Song of Time, we would need Iron Boots. Someone do the math. Someone do the math and find out if in the Toilet is 8 steps deep.
No, I don't think that the piece could be there. I do think that the GTG item that's on Power is likely to be there.
But that's what's interesting is that the Song of Time is Path to Courage. So that is something to sort of keep in mind, that that's indicating that there's probably like 2 things sitting in GTG that were locked behind Bow or Strength 2 that Sarias just couldn't get to.
Yeah, you have a very good point, and I bow to your superior wisdom, because you're absolutely correct, and I had not considered that. I kind of wonder if maybe that's going to end up being like Strength 2 or something.
In before both the items in GTG are Strength 2 and then Strength 3.
So for Mr. Martin, not every path item is hinted, but every path item in a dungeon is hinted, because we have overworld hints on both of the non-zero paths. So all the path items that are in dungeons, we know that there's going to be something in GTG, there's going to be something in Fire, and we know there's going to be something in Shadow. All 3 of those are unaccounted for, and none of the other dungeons are going to have any sort of progression items that are required.
That does make me wonder about that scale sitting on 20 skulls, and maybe something sitting out on Lab Dive, as a way of getting us up to that 18 count. Because we do need to start thinking of like these overworld locations like Lab Dive, like Hammer Rocks, that require some extra items to kind of get into.
Yeah, I mean, It wouldn't shock me, but it would shock me a little bit. And from our runner's perspective, I mean, it's easy to say because we have all the hints available to us and we can stare at them, but I don't think the runners have full access to all of those. They kind of have snippets, so it's easier for us to interpret. But if we're right about toilet, then that means that iron boots are going to show up somewhere. And if iron boots show up somewhere, then we can always do lab dive out of logic.
True.
So based on what we know, chasing the scale is probably not really worthwhile. Also, you never know where the other scale is. But looks like Favio going to be making his way over to GTG. This might be like a field cleanup into GTG, and SariasObject is going to be getting that bow. And the big question is, what does he do with it?
Yeah, the question is, like, whenever you get that bow, do you drop what you're doing, head back and get the bow lock checks in GTG, or do you keep doing... I mean, obviously, SariasObject has some more child things they need to do, still needs to go check out Lon Lon Ranch. But the question is, like, how much child stuff do you leave before you go chasing back on that GTG?
Yeah, it's scary, frankly. The number of unhinted items that are going to be in the overworld are pretty high. So if we're looking at our dungeon hints, GTG, Fire, Shadow, Ice. That's it. So it's only those 4 dungeons that have progression items. For an 18 path, that's actually really low. I've seen 18 paths where I've had 10 dungeon hints that are path. So we may get into a situation where our runners basically just have to clear overworld checks randomly, hoping to run into what is likely a hammer that's chilling somewhere dumb, or maybe iron boots that are chilling somewhere dumb, that is like locking this big chain where like maybe GTG is going to lead to strength, which is going to lead to adult spirit, which is going to lead to a Triforce piece or something like that, or hover somewhere silly, etc.
Yeah. And by the way, happy 1 hour, everyone. This has been an insane, hour. It has gone so freaking fast. So just quick shout out to everyone who's making this happen tonight. So our trackers are Milkweed, Baseball, and Shannock. Thank you all so much for keeping our no cheat up to date. You all have been awesome. Shout out to our runners, Favio and SariasObject, that are giving us quite the showing today. This is a really intense matchup with all of these hints. And shout out to our restreamer, Hell Knight. Thank you, Hell Knight, for being here and making this happen. And shout out to me and my co-com. Oh my gosh, one more time. Elagatua.
Great, that was different than the first time, and I'm here for it.
Next time I will... Elagatua?
I think my favorite one is Elagatua.
Elagatua. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of creativity. Basically, when I made my name, I was like, vowels are cool.
Specifically the A vowel, I'm noticing. A's are cool.
Yeah, I just put all the vowels together in a vowel sandwich, and so anyway, Favio doing some nice kind of hit point management, able to blow himself up with the bombs reasonably quickly, and we're going to be getting a first peek at our bow lock GTG checks. Although based on that Song of Time hint, I'm a little skeptical that we're going to find anything new. I really think we're going to have to clear a bunch of maybe lame overworld checks to try and figure out where those iron boots or a hammer is, because I think that's what's holding us back from jetting on through.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what shows up, if anything, in the bow lock checks. And the question really becomes, what does Favio do after crossing? Because it'll be super surprising if Favio doesn't cross. This is kind of a given at this point. So it's where's our next step after that? Hopefully Fabio goes Ice Cavern, gets that Requiem. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, for sure it's got to be ice, and SariasObject, I think, has a little bit of an advantage in having ZL for this Child 1. SariasObject is able to chase some of these overworld checks a little bit more thoroughly. We're seeing a Child GC dip here, which is something that Favio could not do because there's no ZL. And this is going to give us Darunia's Joy as well. So if this has anything, it's going to be really important.
Yeah, this is actually a really good check to look at because it requires 2 different songs. And it's nothing, so never mind, ignore everything I just said.
Even despite this, having ZL just allows more efficiency in doing the overworld checks. And especially since we're suspicious that it is the overworld that's having whatever we need, SariasObject being able to be more thorough with those checks means it's more likely that SariasObject might just run into that item.
Alright, getting the timing on the pod just right. And let's see if the pod has anything today. Especially with Goron City being that path to power, like, there could still be something here that's not hookshot or strike. Roars is not going to be it, but that's a pretty nice item to find.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, because now you can regret not having it going GTD the first time. Yeah, I mean, it'll help, I think, a little bit for, like, if we get into Shadow Temple, it might be a thing. I'm looking at the amount of time left and the amount of dungeons that we could potentially have, and I'm getting a little nervous that this 18 might be out of reach, especially with Shadow Temple. You never know how deep the item is going to be in Shadow. It could be the first check or not.
Yeah, and even in these Blitz settings, Shadow Temple still takes a solid, like, 12 to 15 minutes. A race the other day had it, like, I think 13. So, like, Shadow Temple is not fast no matter what settings you are using.
Yeah, and I'm still curious what Requiem is going to end up being path for. It's just a little bit confusing, honestly.
It really seems like key logic, and I mean, I know nothing about spirit key logic. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about spirit key logic. But it does make me wonder, like, if that tells our runners, who are probably better at spirit key logic than me, gives them some information about where piece or where an item might be.
Yeah,
so I guess it would have to be piece.
You're right about that. It's easy to interpret in that sense that it's pointing to Spirit Temple for something. Like, that I think is beyond doubt. But the question is it pointing for a piece there, like for courage? Or is it pointing to beat Spirit Temple for the medallion, for a song? It's just a little bit unclear, and we're getting another look at the maze here, and I think Favio is very surprised to see nothing.
I think it could be very possible that it's for the medallion. We still have no sign of Nocturne, and the only 2 places it could be at this point is on the Prelude check or in the Composer Grave.
Yeah, and we might get a peek at that very soon. I think Sarias is waiting for nighttime to be able to do Dompe and the Composer Grave at the same time. I don't know how close it is to nighttime, but it's like, you gotta take a break every now and then. It's like Earthbound, get your coffee.
Yeah. And SariasObject, I'm wondering if this willingness to wait is sort of an indicator, either that SariasObject is feeling like really good about full clearing Graveyard, or that SariasObject is feeling pretty secure that, like, they're in the lead a little bit. Not that you're ever fully secure, but I definitely am interested in this choice to take the pause.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that's that, or just the fact that like everything's kind of blocked off. Like, there's not really a whole ton of good options. You don't really want to go to any of those dungeons now because all those dungeons are too early, in the or they're too low in the counts. So you never. So Saria hasn't done like Ganon's or Bottom of the Well or more in Forest. But now Sarius doesn't want to do any of those places. Those places are kind of dead, actually. So Saria's best option is just to kind of commit to overworld checks, I guess.
Like chickens.
Like chickens, of which we only need 3.
Well, this is. I think this is the second time that I've seen chickens. Although I did see a race earlier in the week where chickens had something that was like pretty crucial to the seed. So,
I mean, if Sarius keeps doing these overworld checks, I really think it's going to end up paying out. There's just not a lot of places where it could be that are in dungeons. Like it's got to be like an Iron Boots or a hammer in the overworld somewhere, and eventually we're going to run out of overworld checks.
yeah, so we have Favio crossing right now. SariasObject leaving CAC to continue getting that time of day. So we're going to get to see what those missing checks in the graveyard, which, as a reminder, graveyard is a path of courage. We found our bomb bag there, and so far that's the only bomb bag we found. We're pretty certain that's probably our...
This is a new check here.
Oh, Wasteland!
Oh,
yes!
it's so huge!
Wasteland comes through!
That is absolutely massive. Now, I don't think that there can be any keys on adult side because of the Requiem requirement, but Favio is going to have the ability to... Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. So Favio is actually going to go back to GTG to check the silver blocks, and then probably recross. I like it because he's still missing that GTG path, and so it's either Strength 2 locked or it's in the toilet. We think it's toilet, but I don't blame Favio for being suspicious.
I mean, as a reminder, we're pretty certain that there are 2 items saying in GTG. I bet one is going to be locked behind the strength block, and the other one's going to be saying in the toilet. I'm pretty certain.
That is horrific for SariasObject. Because, so, like we said, it's some stupid check on the overworld, right? Well, it was some stupid check on the overworld.
Possibly the stupidest overworld check that I love dearly.
Yeah, and SariasObject wasn't able to get that during the original crossing because Din's was in Child. So Favio's routing, you just kind of dumb luck in working in Favio's favor this time, which we love to see. Our Game 3 cheers.
Yeah, if you are hoping for a Game 3, like, you want Favio to find something behind this block that will hasten the way to power.
At this point, I think it's going to come down to courage. I think our chances of seeing power the seed are dwindling extremely quickly. And Favio has a decent chance now with that extremely silly Strength 2 location. Favio probably will end up recrossing and be on the path to pick up Requiem and then probably right back to Spirit.
We also got some very important information just now on SariasObject side. Nocturne is indeed on Prelude, which means that, like, those hints for courage for, like, for Requiem getting us out to, like, Spirit, that's probably why, is because we need to go beat Spirit.
Yeah, so I'm interested to... Oh, there's a big chest in Sunsong Grave. This is suspicious as well.
Huh. Oh, no. And that's... Huh. Okay, so the question is, when does Favio go Child again?
So, this is potentially the saving grace for SariasObject, actually. So we're starting to see, first of all, how we could get up to 18.
Yeah.
But if Sarias knows that Lon Lon is path, it's going to be hard confirmed Song of Time for Sarias. And Irons and Song of Time path with GTG path, Thinky may end up going back to GTG. And if SariasObject is going back GTG, then how is Sarias going to get there? Sarias is going to reverse Wasteland and go right past Haunted Wasteland. So there's going to be an opportunity to pick up that Strength 2 on the way. So still got a little bit of time before we get there. Looks like we're going to see a Bottom of the Well play, which I don't love, but that's what we're going to see. And that may help SariasObject get back on track, and we could be in a race for Adult Spirit.
Yeah, a question that I'm kind of wondering at this point is, where is... God, I had the question that... Mirror Shield. Where's our...
Probably in the toilet.
Oh.
It's probably in the toilet, or it's Hammer in the toilet for Mirror Shield and Fire.
Oh, that sucks.
Yes, and so that's why I said about 10 minutes ago that I don't think we're going to see Power this seed.
Yeah, that is awful.
So we are going to see a big chest in Bottom of the Well that we have not seen before for SariasObject.
I'm going to call it now. It's going to be Neighbor's Love. Just calling it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, surely it's bait, right?
Is the Stone of Agony in a large chest?
It is, hilariously.
Okay, wait, no, I bet Stone of Agony. I need it to be Stone of Agony now. And it's another bow.
No, just as agonizing.
Just as agonizing.
Yeah, so Favio, Bolero, this is surely on the way to ice.
Yeah, and even has some blue fire to go toss on King Zora, which is a overworld checker that we have not seen.
So SariasObject is on a timer. And 2 levels. Obviously, they're both on a timer, but SariasObject is on a timer for Adult Spirit. There basically has to be courage in Adult Spirit. And even though we're really excited about this toilet logic chain, this toilet logic chain is for power. And we're at the seed's mercy for whether power is going to be even possible.
No, actually, the words are hard. Song of Time was on Path to Courage.
Oh, maybe it is. But then how can Requiem be on Courage?
That's a great question.
Requiem's on Power. Never mind.
Yeah, Requiem was on Power. Song of Time was on Courage. It does, and there's an item in the toilet. We know items is in the toilet. Could be Hovers in toilet. I do wonder if it is Mirror Shield in toilet, which would explain why GTG is Path to Power, in addition to the Requiem being Path to Power.
Yeah, no, I think chat's right. It's hard for me to kind of keep track of like which paths or which items are on which paths.
There are so many.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot to keep track of, but yeah. So it does have to be Song of Time. So yeah, I think chat may be onto something about River Chest and water. But yeah, so it looks like Requiem's on Power, which actually makes a ton of sense because Requiem is logically locking Twinrova, and we know Twinrova is logically locking Nocturne. So that kind of explains itself. And GTG is on Power as well. And if GTG is...
That's a really hard, Fabio.
Yeah, so I guess it could be... the other option it could be is GTG could be the last item on Courage. Because if GTG has the item in toilet that just leads directly to the Triforce piece, then it does kind of make sense. But unfortunately, Favio is, I think, going to have a pretty hard time finding these iron boots. He's probably going to end up doing all of Adult Spirit before he ever ends up having a chance to do, like, Composer Grave. Just, like, what would take him out there?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully Fabio realizes that, like, the overworld is so important and is not full cleared. Graveyard is a path to first.
Whoa!
What? Oh. Okay. What the fuck is Violet?
Hovers, maybe? Or hammer, maybe hammer for hovers with a piece in fire.
Oh god, my head hurts. My head hurts so bad. Okay.
This is scary for Fabio because this is technically more bait.
Yeah, it's gonna be really telling, like, what Fabio does after this. Because I am kind of nervous. Also, Chad, did you hear me dropping my one F-bomb that I'm ever going to say on chat? Because, oh my god, I cannot believe that.
SariasObject is literally never going to get that. So we can.
And it might not matter depending on where the piece is, or if time just runs out.
Well, yeah. So that's the problem. Is that it's a little bit of fool's gold. We know that Spirit is literally just required for the song, for Nocturne. But that's, like, getting Nocturne is a substantial time commitment, because you have to kill Twin Robo, which takes forever, and then you at least have a shot at Shadow, but who knows how deep the thing is in Shadow, and you probably need Hovers, and Hovers is probably locked behind Toilet somehow anyway. So you got 40 minutes left, and you still don't have Requiem. So I just worry that Fabio is going to get baited into chasing this and get about 2/3 of the way to power and end up with one Triforce piece.
Yeah, so we're going to, like, flash back to where we were, like, an hour and, like, 15 minutes ago, where we were saying that, like, we're going to see some trolling this seed, and this is definitely some trolling.
Yeah, so 18s make you suspicious of songs that kind of magically add a lot of numbers to the count. And Sun Song being path for Iron Boots, that's, like, pretty on brand. SariasObject has the right idea, doing these terrible overworld checks, but SariasObject has just chosen the wrong terrible overworld checks, and it's actually the other ones. It's actually even more terrible than SariasObject imagined.
Yeah, I'm interested. I bet SariasObject goes and does, like, child fishing next, which, at this point, like, what items could be on there that are in any way helpful?
No, we've seen
Ale.
We've seen everything that we need to get at this point. So we figured that there was 1 or 2 items that were just chilling in the overworld in dumb places, and I think we found both of them. We found the Strength 2, and we found the Mirror Shield, and now we found... And Irons. Those were the 3. And I think everything else now is just going to be Toilet leading to Fire Temple, and then leading to Shadow Temple, leading to probably Light Trial. But we ain't going to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really interested to see if we find Courage before the end of this, and who finds it. Definitely, I think SariasObject has the better chance, but like we said, like, Saria's checking the wrong, terrible overworld checks, and who knows when SariasObject is going to go back and get Haunted Wasteland, especially.
Well, yeah, the Lon Courage hint is really the key one, and I don't know if SariasObject has it. I think there's a realistic chance that both of these runners could end with one piece, to be honest.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think SariasObject has that Lon hint because it was the back of Lake, and SariasObject has not gone to Lake yet.
Yeah, and so Chad is speculating that Courage could be in River Chest and Water, and I think that's probably correct. The only way it wouldn't be is if we've miscounted somehow, and it's actually the item in Toilet that is directly locking the dungeon with Courage.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, and I was forgetting about River Chest earlier whenever I was sort of listing the places that Song Time could be locking. I think that's a really good bet, and if that's the case, I think SariasObject has a non-zero chance of, like, going and checking Water soon.
It could be one of those desperation plays. Like, if we end up with about 10 minutes left in the seed, and SariasObject still has not found Strength 2, it's going to be a matter of go to a dungeon and do checks, because you have to. So right now, like, could be Sari's best option just to go to Water, because GTG is not really that great. Spirit's not possible without Strength 2, and Gans isn't deep enough. So there's kind of no other options.
Yeah, so Fabio, what's your plan now after getting this fairy?
I'm scared that it's going to be Spirit, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, especially whenever you have all of this information, all of these things, like, it's possible that Fabio's hoping for some logic skips in Spirit in order to, like, bypass some of the requirements, but
Well, we're going to see if somehow there is a key on adult side. There definitely could be, because now we know that Requiem is path for beating the dungeon. So it could literally just be a key for Twin Rova access. So maybe Fabio can skip Child Spirit. We'll see.
Well, and I think the one thing that's working in Fabio's favor right now is that Fabio has more information than SariasObject. Like, Fabio got all of those hints very early on, has had a lot of time to chew on them, and I'm really hopeful that Fabio has a decent idea of where to go and why.
Problems with Iron Boots. The Iron Boots are just... It's so hard to get them based on where they ended up being.
Yes. Yeah, and that's scary. But here is the bright side for Fabio, is that we're going to go through Spirit. We're not going to find anything other than going and beating Twin Rova, which is going to force Fabio back to the Temple of Time to go get that song. And maybe that'll encourage Fabio to go back Child and just really quickly get those last couple of graveyard checks.
Well, you do have a point there. Is if he beats Spirit, he will get Nocturne. And Nocturne would actually send him directly to Dip Shadow, for sure. And, I mean, we don't have any guarantee that hovers are required yet. So, it's possible it could be something crazy like Shadow for Hammer or for Fire for Strength 3. Although that would cut out the toilet requirement, so unlikely, but I don't know. Maybe he could get irons through that route.
Yeah, I think that might wind up being Fabio's saving grace, is the fact that he's going to get Nocturne after this. So if you're wanting a game 3, you better cross your fingers that Fabio goes and checks those graveyard checks, like, really quickly after this.
Yeah, this is just a really difficult seed, and the time limit is going to be a big factor. Like, if this was a 3-hour time limit, I think Fabio would be probably in a better situation, but it's not. And SariasObject getting that tiebreaker very early in the seed could be the thing that steals it.
Yeah, that's part of the... Oh, there is a big chest here, so... And it's our last bow. Great.
Yeah, we knew that was bait.
Can't blame a girl for getting hopeful, but that's the thing that's kind of difficult about this setting, is that you can have the perfect idea of where to go after getting all of this information, but if you're not at the right place at the right time, then you are going to be behind a little bit, and unfortunately might make or break the race.
So Saria is going to be going adult, and the big question is now, where to? Could potentially be back to GTG play with that bow, which, if that's the case, we probably get a decent look at Toilet to figure out what ends up being there. But, well, probably not now. This is Ganon's for sure, actually.
Yeah, because Sarias didn't check Ganon's earlier.
Boy, there is a lot of money on SariasObject.
Yeah, that's really working with a bunch of coins.
There's easy money on no one. You can thank me for your channel points.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of a waiting game at this point for Favio to finish up in Spirit before we really get anything new, especially with SariasObject just sort of retracing Favio's steps. So at this point, how likely do you think it is, with 30 minutes to go, pretty much exactly, that we'll see that courage piece?
Very unlikely. Because Favio has to get irons after doing this, and then realize that it's not in Toilet, because Toilet is too many, and then figure out that it's the only place that it could be is River Chest, and then hard commit everything to that. If he can figure that out, then he deserves to win 1,000,000%. But it's really hard to do, and he may be missing a hint or two from the list that we know. So it's asking a lot, and he may not even have the chance, because there's no guarantee that he ends up getting Sunsong and doing Sunsong Grave.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that Favio is missing a hint at this point. Favio was very thorough with those overall checks, and like looking at our hint list, I'm pretty sure that Favio hit up like all of those locations. It is the question of, will Favio put the logic together? And bigger question, here's the bigger question, is that I think Favio can put together logic. Will Favio go get the song in Composer's Grave and then go check Sunsong Grave?
Yeah, that's always the big question. Like, if he's gonna get Nocturne, he's gonna dip Shadow Temple, and we'll see if anything turns up there, but probably not. And so he will have a chance to play Nocturne again and maybe get the song. But I don't know. There's nothing pointing to it. So he's totally justified in going like anywhere else.
Yeah, and Favio's hopefully another big... Wow, apparently Spirit just has all of the bait today.
Yeah, and it's sad because we know it's bait, and so like I can't even get my hopes up, but I know Favio is just so sad.
Yeah, it's just like every big chest is just disappointment after disappointment.
It can't be exciting when you have two pieces already and you're just waiting to see, like, oh, is this the big chest that sets me free from the seed? I think this seed is a little bit cruel. It looks like we're going to see Shadow too, so this is a new check. Pretty sure it can't be anything, but we'll find out for sure.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Fabio is about to go face off with Troll Roba. We'll see how nice she is today. Hopefully she's pretty nice because we really, really want to see what Fabio does after getting Nocturne.
Well, that was a really cool thing by Sarias to like jump on the invisible platform even though it was gone. I don't actually know how he did that. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that was an interesting maneuver.
I might want to study up on that one. That seems like that could be useful in certain situations.
Oh, is this gonna be a Wasteland play from Sarias?
Yeah, and now actually the Strength 2 could be, well, we'll see what happens here. There's no guarantee that Sarias gets Strength 2 and continues on to GTG. So, decision time.
Yeah, this is going to be like very make or break, I think, for Sarias, because I think that if Sarias follows Fabio into Spirit Temple instead of going back to GTG, that Sarias won't have enough time to catch up with Fabio. Fabio does make the call to go River Chest.
Oh, and so Chad is pointing out that Sarias doesn't even have Strength 1, so forgive me for assuming that he had done Length and Goron. Of all the
Oh no!
Of all the silly overworld checks to skip, looks like we didn't get that one. And he's not even doing Wasteland.
Oh no!
So I don't know if this is actually going to help SariasObject. Oh no, there it is. I'm sorry. He turned around?
I think he realized he hadn't done it.
Yeah. But even this like doesn't necessarily help him. Because Toilet is going to lead probably further down the path of power, which surely we don't have enough time to finish. So this might, I mean, it'll be interesting for us because we'll find out what item's there, but even if it's like hovers, Sarias is going to have to go find Strength 2 and then do all of Spirit and then be into Shadow to chase that further, and your time's going to be up.
Yeah, what we really want to keep an eye on, I do think that this is going to very much come down to Fabio's choices more so than Saria's at this point. Unless Saria just like checks Toilet, Giga Brains it, and then goes to Water Temple to check that River Chest.
Yeah, and SariasObject doesn't even have Serenade yet, so I'm not sure that Sarias has like the critical information. If Sarias ends up going to River, it's going to be just because that was the only dungeon available in the last 10 minutes, and that's just what you do when you run out of time.
And again, I will mention this again, that like Sarias hasn't gone to Lake Hylia, so Sarias doesn't have that Lon Lon Ranch is Path to Courage. That is the big bit of information that SariasObject is just not working with right now.
Alright, so we're getting close to decision time for Fabio. He's going to be able to get Nocturne now, and certainly will dip into Shadow for the first two checks. But in the event that it's nothing, the question remains, what then?
And we're going to save, and we're going to quit, and we're going to get that Nocturne. Melqui is making the call that hopefully does a graveyard cleanup. And I think that that would be like a pretty good call, especially with not having hovers yet. Because it's fully possible hovers could just be sitting in one of those locations.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Shadow brings. I mean, theoretically, it's possible that hovers aren't even required, although I wouldn't hold my breath.
All right, decision time for Fabio. What you gonna do? Yep, right into Shadow Temple. Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's after this. That's when the decision time comes. It's in 2 minutes. Where do you go when this has nothing?
Yeah, this is shaping up to be very tense for final 20 minutes. I was not expecting courage to be this hard to kind of logic out, especially being 8 steps in, but us having like 3 hints to work with. So this is exciting.
It's just still a long shot. Like, that Iron's location being totally unhinted is very, very difficult. I guess...
Not
wait a minute.
necessarily. We do have a graveyard path to courage.
Yeah, that... Maybe that'll put him back in the right direction. Oh, Favio's like... trolled.
Nice arrow so that Favio can beat Bongo here in a bit.
And that could have been the path item from what Favio knows, so he might have gotten his hopes up there.
Oh, I forgot that there was a path item just sitting here in shadow. And that could very well be the hover boots, which would honestly, I think, spell the end for Favio. Anything that lets Favio get deeper into shadow at this point is not good. Oh no, please don't be hovers. Please don't be hovers. Please be like scale or something. Hammer!
Oh no.
Oh no, that's even worse. No. Fabio, no. That was not what we wanted.
Because now it's going to be hovers and fire. Anyway, we're seeing toilet, so let's see what this is going to be on SariasObject's side.
I wonder if these are going to be the hovers. I think that was speculated earlier, but like seeing that hammer in shadow, it's a pretty good chance. Yep, there's our hovers. Although that's interesting with hammer so early in shadow. It's like we're not going to get to the end of this power logic chain, but the items we're working with are weird.
Hold up. All right, hear me out.
Okay, I'm ready.
What if fire is key locked behind Volv, and hovers are logically required to get into deep fire for strength 3 for power and light trial?
Jesus Christ, why?
If that's the case, then Favio has a realistic chance of getting power.
Oh.
Because actually it would mean that those hovers are entirely skippable because that hammer was so early.
Oh. Sorry, I have to laugh. Sorry.
Every check that's not the item is good for Favio right now. If we want a game 3, it desperately has to be we need to be key locked, basically.
Yeah. That would be huge. SariasObject is here in like Hylia finally. So we'll see if what's in water.
I don't know if SariasObject is actually going to go to water. I think SariasObject is trying to find strength 2. We'll see.
Oh, I did forget about SariasObject not having strength 2. And there's Greg.
That's basically what you deserve. Oh, this could be water.
Oh. If SariasObject has put it together, and it is here in River Chest, which I think it has to be, with that Song of Time, Path to Courage, like, this is it.
Yeah, I don't think this is necessarily a deduction. I think this is I'm out of options. There's just nowhere else for SariasObject to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Especially if you're right that there's a strength deeper in fire, but hopefully like not so deep that Fabio like is it possible for Fabio to like beat Sarias to it if it is in like trial?
Hard to imagine. No, it would have to be like a perfect layout. Oh, he's leaving. I think he needed to save quit there, but we'll see what he does now. Okay, he's going back. So that's actually a mistake from Favio. He should have saved quit. It would have skipped the cutscene. This is going to be a really exciting finish, though, if we end up having Favio with the 18 and Sarias with the 8 at the last minute. This would be pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice to sort of see all of the pieces. But it is scary with that timer ticking because we do only have 15 minutes to make this happen.
So I think Favio could still potentially have a chance to do it fast enough. If it's exactly in the climb. If it's too deep in fire, there's no way. But I think there's maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 checks where he might be able to do it, because SariasObject might do like central pillar and stuff, so that could potentially add a lot of time, or even Morpha as well.
Is SariasObject able to do central pillar without a scale?
Yeah, you can do it with the irons, and actually it's hard required to have irons in order to do central pillar.
Awesome. Yeah, I always forget what the central pillar requirements are, because honestly I try to avoid central pillar as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't blame you, and that's kind of a meta thing. A lot of times people will skip central pillar and just try to do the loop for Dark Link. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really exciting finish. There's everything to play for. Both of our runners are potentially in the right location to lead to this the missing piece, and whichever runner gets there first is going to get that tiebreaker that's probably going to decide the match.
Yeah, because at this point there's no way for Favio to get over to Water Temple and find those boots, unless Favio just leaves now and like puts it together. Sarias is also doing just like all of the checks in these loops, so really killing time, not rushing that river check, giving Favio a chance to catch up. So yeah, this is intense.
It's all down to the layout in Fire Temple. That's basically all it's down for, or all it's down to. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm biased. I'm game 3 biased. I really want to see these 2 runners play another game.
I am also game 3 biased. Like, it would be awesome if SariasObject wins, and especially like SariasObject has played so good. Oh my god, is this it? Is this it? No, why does our stream suck? No.
I hate it. I hate it here.
Why?
It's straight 3!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Leave, Fabio.
Leave. You gotta go right now.
He knows these have to be keys. Fabio, you gotta go.
I am so stressed right now. Fabio, just save quit and get out of here, please. I am begging you.
No, he equipped bow. He's gonna keep going. You only equip bow if you keep going. No, Fabio, it's gotta be the strength.
No, Fabio, no.
Maybe he wants to open up shortcut, I guess. Oh man, if he had left... Sarias is heading to Dark Link now. He needs to go right now or it's going to be too late.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this feels rough.
Maybe he wants to open shortcut, but I mean, these have to be keys.
Yeah, so, I mean, I get it, but also, like, this is not the play to make with 12 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, the strength, he knows that this, that there can't be a piece deeper here, because there's a path in Fire Temple. And so, because there's a path in Fire Temple, it can't be the end of the chain. It always has to be one deeper. So I just don't know what he could possibly find, or what he thinks he could possibly find deeper here.
Yeah, it's possible that Fabio's having a hard time parsing out that, where courage could be. Might, for some reason, think that's deeper here in fire, but... And there's another bait item.
Yeah, we pretty much found everything. I don't think this can possibly be a thing.
Yeah, Kokiri Sword is kind of the only... Or Boomerang are kind of the only things that could be at this point.
Yeah, and K-Sword is for Foolish Deku, so...
Leave,
he's leaving, but
leave.
It's probably too late.
No, not back to...
No, he's gonna save quit to Temple of Time.
Okay.
But I still think it's too late. Like, by the time... Well, Sarias is having trouble with Dark Link here, so... this is gonna be really dramatic. He's running out of Deku Nuts.
Oh, no.
Oh my god, he's out of Deku Nuts. Does he know how to do this now?
That is
okay, he does know how to do it. This is actually insane. Like, this is going to come down to like 30 seconds.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, SariasObject having hard time with this Dark Link fight might let Fabio get this.
I'm so stressed out right now.
I'm trying so hard not to yell because my parents are sleeping in like the room right next door, but it is so hard.
Fabio's going to get to Light Trial first, and he has a key. So
my God.
Should, like, now it's flipped.
Oh my god.
They say there's no justice in Rando, but I'm telling you, like, we're seeing...
If the piece is here, this is going to be the most spectacular photo finish.
And it was one hit, too. It was one hit on Dark Link. Oh my god. Which check is it?
None of those.
God, they're all small.
Yep. Oh god. Oh, come on. Come on. Is this it? Is this it?
I sacrificed my channel points for this. Sarias is gonna get the other one. Look, it's big.
I had to physically cover my mouth not to scream. Oh my gosh. We are getting a game 3, folks.
That is so crazy. That execution on Dark Link gave Fabio the extra 15 to 20 seconds.
That was
unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, I am physically trembling. That was so amazing. Yeah, so we're getting a game 3, y'all. Sarias is just hanging into Fire Temple, going to find that second strength, and then head on out to Spirit. But I mean, that's the thing that sucks, is that with overlooking the Wasteland, my favorite check again, I will tell everyone that. Like, SariasObject has no chance of finding that last piece.
Yeah, well, the last strength is actually on Link the Goron, but with 8 minutes or 7.5 minutes left, there will not be any more Triforce pieces found this seed. What a finish, though! This is the type of seed that, when I was coming up with this concept, I was dreaming that we'd see something where the execution was what it came down to, with the time limit looming and a crazy logic skip at the last moment. We really got it all in this seed, and we're going to get another one as our reward.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that game 3. These are two fantastic runners. They are so fun to watch. Both the first match was incredible. This match was incredible. So I'm so happy we're going to a game 3.
Shout out to HoloLogic, who just got rewarded with a bazillion channel points. He's going to be going up in another best of 3 in a few days for his shot at the main bracket. So shout outs to you, Holo.
Yeah, and shout outs to Shannock for counting, and Favio won by less than 40 seconds.
This is one of those situations where we know it's over, even though the runners are still gonna do their best for the next 6 minutes and 15 seconds, but we know where, based on where the stuff is, there's no way that the runners can get to the other piece in time. SariasObject getting strength 2, probably feels bad. Gonna try and go to Spirit and chase down what is Nocturne, but with no hammer. It's just us counting down the clock.
Yeah, so we need to start thinking about like what questions we're going to ask them. And chat, you need to be thinking too if they do come in for an interview, because that was. Oh, Sarias doesn't have Mirror Shield yet.
Yeah, because King Zora trolled us. It's actually crazy. That actually ended up mattering. And the reason that Favio was able to get that Mirror Shield is because he went to Ganon's castle first and picked up blue fire.
Yeah, just... it's little routing things. We said how close it was, and SariasObject like very well like could have taken this, but let's acknowledge how hard we were saying it was to find that piece to power, and I think that speaks a lot to Favio's ability to route, that Favio managed to find that piece.
I mean, it's an 18 piece in under 2 hours, so forget about it being only 2 out of 3. It's so hard, and so much had to kind of come together for that to even be possible, because the hammer had to be not hovers locked in shadow, which I mean, it technically could have been. We know that hovers were already pathed for the key logic in fire, and then Favio had to be suspicious about the key logic. Favio went straight to Volve after clearing the kind of the hammer locked checks in bottom of fire. So Favio made just enough right plays combined with just enough luck to eke out the right answer with 40 seconds to spare.
Yeah, so with these last couple of minutes, especially with our runners just sort of retracing each other's steps, I do want to give one more shout out to the people who made this restream happen. We were kind of nervous earlier in the day that this wasn't going to happen because we needed someone to restream. So I actually want to thank Hell Knight first for being awake at this time of night in Europe in order to restream this incredibly hyped match, because without him, this would not have happened. Shout out to our trackers, Milkweed Baseball and Shannock, for keeping us on track. Shout out to our two runners, Favio and SariasObject, who have given us an incredible showing tonight. And shout out to me and Elagatua for commenting. Have I pronounced it differently every single time? Because I think I've pronounced it differently every single time.
I'm here for it all.
Incredible. Look, Baseball, I was not hooked on phonics as a kid. Like, I have a hard time with pronunciation anyway.
So while we're waiting for the timer to run out, want to remind you that there's more exciting Blitz action coming up later this week. We are concluding our opening round matches that are going to decide which players go to the main bracket and which players go to the Wanderer bracket. We've had a lot of good races and a lot of matches have concluded, but there's still a few runners that are finishing up their matches. I don't know what the next restreamed match will be, but I do know that there's a number of races tomorrow, and there's a good chance that some of them will be picked up by the Silver Gauntlets. So stay tuned, and there will be a more exciting Blitz action to come over this week.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting whenever all of the brackets are settled and we know exactly who's in the main bracket, who's in the Wanderer bracket. I'm really excited for those matches to start because, like, this is only the beginning. No one's out at this point, but whenever the stakes get raised, it gets pretty intense.
If I have to shout out one match, I would like to shout out Cariosa and Oxyman, which I believe is scheduled for 2 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. That is a Game 3. So your Season 5 champion is going to a Game 3 to see if he'll be able to make it into the main bracket. So I would not miss that if I were you.
Yeah, and you were also mentioning before this match happened that Cariosa has the record for fastest Triforce Blitz match.
Yeah, we haven't seen a seed like that since then, but there was the fabled 3 pieces in bottom of the well with no ZL require seed that was completed by Cariosa in 20 minutes, and that's our current Triforce Blitz world record, and probably will not be beaten for quite some time until we see the first legendary 3 pieces in Dodongo's Cavern seed. Still waiting on that one. It'll happen eventually. And if you missed that Cariosa Oxyman game 2, like, you should go back and watch it. The end of that seed was also very, very exciting. And Oxyman had a really great performance in the clutch, much like Favio did in this seed, to pull out the win.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who pulls out clutch on the third game, because, like, I know the first match between these two, like, seemed to be going Favio's way until it, like, swung over to Saria's. So, and then this one seemed to be going Saria's way and then swung over to Favio. So, it's going to be interesting this next game 3 with these two.
And that is time. So I'm gonna go peek over to the race room and see if we can get them into an interview. But let's just take a moment to catch our breaths collectively and be thankful for the amazing show that we got over these past 2 hours.
Yeah, let your heart rate come back down to normal, because I know mine needs to. And we're ending on light arrows, which is, like, quite a wonderful way to end the night.
I'm trying to tease them in. I know Favio's going to come. I don't know if we'll get SariasObject.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to have one or both of them. Yeah, this was such a good race. I am so happy I got to commentate this, and I'm so happy for all of you lovely people that got to be awake to see this. Yeah, and we'll cross our finger that Favio's internet cooperates, because I know there were some internet issues last time, so.
I do like how the internet had a good grasp of the moment and decided to cut out right before opening the Strength 3 chest.
that was so off. I would love for someone to, like, go back and clip at that moment, because I was so distressed by that.
There's just so much that had to happen for it to be an interesting finish, and it all finally came together. The RNG gods giving us the maximum restream value.
Yeah. This is definitely going to be one of those matches that we tell people like, hey, you should go back and watch this match.
Yeah, there's definitely like a number of matches that I have kind of bookmarked in my kind of all timers. Um, you think of like the season 3 finals between Marco and Bonnaroo as kind of like the legendary races, and with like really exciting finishes and seeds where execution on Ganondorf ends up being the difference and things like that. And this is the Triforce Blitz version of that. Two runners going for different pieces at the same moment, and execution ultimately being the difference. So still waiting on Favio to get in here. SariasObject hasn't responded, but based on history, I kind of suspect that we won't get him in. But um, I think they might be looking through the VOD to get the official finish time, so that's accounting for the delay. But we aren't going anywhere. We definitely want to hang out with Favio at least, and certainly SariasObject's more than welcome to join as well if he wants.
Yeah. So are all of the last matches like early this week, or because I know that there's like a match on like Saturday and Sunday, and is that like the official end of this like placement round?
Yeah, so we really want to have everybody done with their matches before the end of Sunday, so that we can set up the brackets. And once everybody's done their preliminary matches or their opening round matches, um, then we'll basically do our bracket reveal here.
Yeah. And Sari's object is in chat, GG Saria, and also Fabio is here with us on voice, so GG's Fabio.
You're muted, but we'll give you a minute. I see you've unmuted. Are you there, Fabio? It looks like we're working through some technical difficulties at the moment. We'll keep working on that.
Yeah, in the meantime, the good news about like all matches hopefully being done by Sunday is that you'll be able to see the start of like the main brackets hopefully here in a week or so. So keep your eye out for announcements on that, because I know I'm really hyped for that to come up.
Yeah, and when we get the actual bracket set up, those will actually be single elimination, but they are best of 3 single elimination. So it's not like one bad seed can totally sink you. That's one of the nice things about having shorter seeds, is that we can play more matches. But we will be narrowing down the field. But obviously, everybody participating in this tournament was promised 2 best of 3s at the minimum, and this format allows us to deliver on that promise. It is Triforce Blitz after all. It's supposed to be fast, and our tournaments run fast as well. So not a whole lot of fluff for group stages or anything like that. Just a bunch of 1 versus 1s, and play your matches and get the tournament done as fast as possible. So it looks like we're still having issues with Fabio's mic, but if we can't get it figured out, maybe Fabio, you could join us in chat. Looks like he's going to get his another computer maybe to join with. So we'll hang out. Definitely want to hear with Fabio and share the results of this exciting seed.
All right, and it looks like Fabio's hopefully back. Hello, Fabio and GG's.
Hello? No?
Yay, we got him.
Yes, we got voice.
Finally. Thank you. Thank you for the GGs.
Yeah, how did you feel about that seed? Because, like, wow, that was intense there at the end from our side.
Wow, there's so many things, like, for example, in fire, with those, and with those wallets so early. So I decided to continue, and I'm not sure there's a piece in fire. I think not, right?
There was not a peace and fire.
Yeah. I think I'm missing the courage. Yeah, right?
Yeah, you managed to find the power piece, which we were not expecting to see on the seed. The courage piece was sitting on the river chest in Water Temple.
Okay, and didn't got iron boots or gold scale.
Yeah, so your iron boots were in triple path graveyard, in the Redead grave, with Sunsong being vanilla.
Oh, wait, there was the whole, maybe, maybe?
Well, there was 3 items there. There was only 1 hint.
Yeah.
But we found out when Sarias found the irons that it was actually a surprise triple.
Oh, wow. Or did I? Because Cooking Report was also double, or in this case was double, right?
Kokiri Forest was actually triple.
Triple.
I think it was
Okay.
twice on courage and once on power. But basically, I'll give you the rundown of the logic of the seed, because with your power and SariasObject's powers combined, you pretty much solved everything between the two of you. It was extraordinarily exciting to watch. But basically, the seed wants you to get the long shot and the lens and magic to cross to get Zelda's Lullaby, and then to get Requiem from the Ice Cavern, and then to beat Spirit Temple to get Nocturne, but then also to get the Iron Boots from the Redead Grave, so that you can go to GTG for the toilet, which has hover boots. And so that the hover boots will let you, well, actually, with Dins and Nocturne, you can go into Shadow, get your hammer, and then in Fire, you logically need the hovers to go beat Volvagia, so that you can go get Strength 3. And so you actually managed to skip the hovers, and so not having irons wasn't a problem. But that Lon Lon Song of Time hint is just for it's for river chest in water. It's not actually for toilet, or not just for toilet.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured there was covers in GDG. I didn't find nothing else. I was missing all the items.
So something that you probably did not realize in the moment, but we realized and were stressing out about, was you and SariasObject were in Fire Temple and Water Temple at the same time, both looking for your second piece. And it looked like things were going to be very bad for you, because you only had 2 checks in Shadow Temple that could have the item that you needed. And then also, based on the timing, we knew that Strength 3 had to be in lower fire. Otherwise, you wouldn't have enough time to get to Light Trial first. and actually your play to keep going in fire after strength 3 nearly cost you the race. SariasObject had some execution problems on Dark Link that probably wasted about a minute. And that actually gave you enough time to get to Light Trial first. And I think you got your second piece about 40 or 30 seconds before SariasObject did. But it was extraordinarily scary for us in the restream because all of us want a game 3 desperately. We love seeing you guys play. Did you have any idea how close it was?
I just assumed Sarias had 2 pieces, not early, but not late. Like, I don't know, maybe 145 or something, 140. I was with that in mind. I didn't
So I'm
realize it
guessing.
was so close.
Good. Sorry, finish your thought. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, and I didn't realize it was super close.
Did you think there was another piece deeper in fire, and so that's why you kept going after strength 3?
Yeah, maybe like a low chance, but it was a big chest. Just went for it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Probably it's a good idea. Yeah, probably it's a good idea, but I wasn't like counting steps at that point.
So
I just went for it.
I think on the stream we your feed cut out temporarily because we did not see you peek the upper chest, but now that makes sense. So you saw that it was a big chest in the upper maze, right?
Yeah. I'm just
The mystery is solved.
yeah. Wow. Looking at the time. I think it's 1:51 and 13.
Yeah, I don't know if we have an official time for SariasObject, but we definitely know it was about 30 seconds difference.
Wow.
Yeah, really, really close.
Well, I am looking forward to game 3 between the two of you. I don't have anything else to ask about this seed. I would recommend watching it again. I think it will be very interesting to watch after playing it for you. But any thoughts about the third game?
Very tough. Gonna be very, very tough. I'm excited for it.
Well,
Wish SariasObject good luck for that third game, and hope it will be a good one.
well, if it's even half as good as this one, it will be really exciting. And I know I speak for myself and Sadie that we are both looking forward to seeing that race. So thank you for your performance today.
Yeah, thank you and GG's. And there is a challenge from SariasObject in chat. SariasObject did say, "I hope I destroy you." So they're coming for you, Fabio.
Okay. Be here waiting.
Shots are fired, Sarias. Hope you're ready.
Nah, but he's a very good player, so it's gonna be a really tough one, and I hope you can schedule soon.
Absolutely. So, just one last shout out to everyone who helped make this restream happen today. Shout out to our runners like Fabio and SariasObject. Seriously, that was an amazing match to watch. Thank you both so much. One last shout out to our trackers, Milkweed Baseball and Shannock, for being awake at this time of night. Shout out to our commentators, myself and Ella, for making this happen. And once again, a wonderful shout out to Hell Knight for being awake at this time of night to restream this incredible match. Like, I'm so happy this happened. And with that in...
Oh, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I wish I can like have more free time to schedule in non-degen times. That's like the only weekdays is like the most time I'm around late night. But no, thank you everybody for the restream and thank you everybody for watching.
And thank you again, Fabio, and thank you, Sarias